Michael Coates is the founder and CEO of Altitude Networks and the former Chief Information Security Officer at Twitter, and he joins us now from San Francisco. Michael, good to have you with us. Clearly, a lot of people now around the world deeply frustrated by what happened. Just help us understand exactly what went wrong here and simply how difficult it is then to try and fix it.
Yes, the challenge that we're facing today is that in the modern era, there's no question that cybersecurity is of the utmost importance. And as we reacted to that over the years, we've installed security software across all of our technology, across our workstations, our servers, to protect from the malicious hackers. Now, today we're faced with the challenge that the software itself is what's falling apart. And so the CrowdStrike software that's having the issue is essentially the modern day antivirus. And one of the important items of having that security software is being able to update it quickly, nimbly, to respond to attacks that are happening in the wild to protect these systems. However, what went wrong here is that the update mechanism that CrowdStrike used actually ended up corrupting the software and further corrupting the Windows operating system itself. And so now we're in the position where these Windows devices are in that blue screen of death, as you mentioned, and are not actually booting up at all. And so the challenge, of course, is sure, these machines might be, quote, secure from hackers, but they're not working, and we're having business systems, airlines, hospitals, et cetera, fall apart, as you mentioned.
Yeah, the remedial action here and the challenges are compounded by the fact that, as you say, a lot of the servers that contain the information required to recover these services are in that cycle of crashing and rebooting. So it's a question of what you do. Now, if you're a big company, admittedly, it's a problem, but you probably have an IT staff and system that can get to work on this. If you're a smaller business, then arguably you're on your own trying to deal with individual laptops, perhaps, and computers that are facing this challenge. Michael, it's tougher for smaller companies here, perhaps as much as it is a challenge for bigger companies?
Yeah, I think the challenge is definitely across the board. This is an outage of, I'd say, epic proportions. And in this particular instance, it may be necessary for the IT staff to physically visit and have hands-on keyboard each of the devices that need to be rebooted or updated. At the very least, they would have had to have a remote management set up prior to this to interact in this tricky time when the Windows operating system is not actually working. So even in the big companies, this is a 5-alarm fire type activity. Now imagine smaller companies or companies that are already stretched thin with their IT staff. And this could be critical services, again, like emergency services, hospitals, et cetera. Think about that small number of people that have to physically visit every device to bring it back up online. And even if that takes only 30 seconds, the physical logistics of getting to every device is going to be a huge challenge. The takeaway from this is that in the IT and cyber world, it's all about preparation. It's about thinking about the scenarios that can go wrong and building your plans ahead of time to minimize them the best you can. But as we see here, obviously, the effects are far-reaching, and we want to move as quickly and expeditiously as possible.
I mean, there's a few things to that. There's Microsoft, which most companies, businesses, individuals use, which is very difficult to get away from in terms of the services that you have. But perhaps the security company that's being used, as you said, this is part of the protection firm with CrowdStrike that is being employed that created the challenge. Do you think this plays badly for CrowdStrike? And to your point about the preparation, Michael, what could, hindsight's obviously perfect sight, companies have done perhaps to mitigate the risks of this? An update's an update.
Yeah, what I'm really concerned about this situation is the chilling effect that it may have on the cybersecurity culture across corporations. Because what we preached for time and time again is apply updates quickly. Make sure you are protecting your system from known vulnerabilities. But the blowback from this may be, well, do we really want to apply these patches automatically from our security vendors if we could have this interruption in services? Now, the CEO of CrowdStrike said this is not a security incident. But it is. It is a security incident. Maybe it's not a malicious hacker, but we have an outage of critical services. The blame does fall on them. They need to have robust layers of testing to make sure this is not possible.
Yeah.
Secondarily, small companies may want to think about that as well before they automatically do some testing on their side.
Yeah, because that's the danger, isn't it, to your point, that there's a reticence now to do the patch or do the update automatically, which creates perhaps risks and gaps of its own. Michael, do you expect, and are you surprised that actually we hadn't seen something like this before? And is it also perhaps not that they needed it, but and for bad actors around the world, a sign that they can create utter chaos with actually very little effort.
Yeah, fundamentally, the internet that we live day to day on is built on multiple points of failure and central points of trust. And this is just another example. We have other indications where there's widespread outages from services like DNS that help make internet names work, or this reliance on single points of security software or operating systems. It's why there's such a conversation over the years with Microsoft's secure computing initiatives, because everything around the world relies on this technology functioning. And you have to imagine and anticipate that the bad actors do understand these central points of vulnerability and what they can do in terms of wreaking havoc or stealing critical data or getting access to critical systems by going after these single choke points. And the responsibility really falls on those companies to have the utmost security while, of course, delivering quick business value to everyone.
Yeah, we need everything and more in all ways. It's not easy. Michael Coates, great to get your wisdom, sir. Thank you.